And then British GT 2025 will be go. It is blast off, and a good start made by Charles Dawson. Kevin Say tries to move across and get the line for the corner as up the inside line. Dives Alex Martin, has a cheeky look. That didn't work. Charles Dawson leaves the door slightly ajar, if not open, as the cars go onto the top of the Craner curves for the first time. Dawson bolts in the lead. He's getting away. Up to second place, Alex Martin. Kevin Say hung out to dry a bit on the outside line. He's down to third. Morgan Tilbrook fourth, but a good start by Dawson.
Yeah, that's the start he wanted to get. We know if he got through turn one clean, he's got the pace to run away, in theory, looking at the qualifying times yesterday. So, yeah, clean start for Dawson.
Matt Topham's on the move in number one, Lamborghini, up alongside the black and pink McLaren and Mark Smith, who fights back. Look there in the background on the inside line, retakes the place. What's going on in GT4? It is number 90, Mark Warren, in the lead. You can see already the difference in pace between GT3 and GT4, how it's two distinct races, two distinct packs already.
8 seconds of lap difference, you know, it's going to be, what, 10 laps, and then they'll be lapping each other. So, yeah, that's when it's going to get a bit crazy.
To say the least. Out of the S's, they come for the first time. Jacopo Petrovelli, number 7, Aston Martin, bouncing over the curb. Richard Neary likewise. Nick Jones goes through in the Porsche. Andrew Howard in the Aston goes by. Mark Warren doing a really good job in the opening stages to get away from the opposition in GT4. Big dive by Matt Topham up the inside, number 1. The Lamborghini from Barwell goes ahead now and secures the place away from Mark Smith, who is under attack as well from number 14 BMW, which is Brandon Templeton, new to GT Racing there. Look in the background, goes one side then the other, full send up the inside. Wouldn't think he was new to GT Racing.
No, and
Aidan Neat's on his toes, isn't he? He's the quickest of the Lotus drivers right now. And he's just put a move, as you saw, on John Curry, who is under attack as well from number 14 BMW, which is Brandon Templeton, new to GT Racing there. Look in the background, goes one side then the other, full send up the inside. Wouldn't think he was new to GT Racing.
No, and speaking to his teammate earlier, Chris Salkeld, they think they've got a very good race car. The BMW is stronger in the race than it is in quali, and it's quick on the straights, so they're going to be able to overtake, as we've just seen there. So they're only going to move forward, I think.
Down to the old hairpin, where there's a big crowd. Really nice to see in the sunshine here. So many people. Even at 7:15 this morning, there was a queue to get in, would you believe? As the leading cars then flick onto the Grand Prix loop. That is Nick Jones trying to keep the Porsche in the mix, ready to hand over to Sven Muller. And of course, you'll find in GT3 pretty much all the AMs diving for the pit lane as soon as they can when that window opens to maximise the time for the pro in the car.
And speaking to a few people in the paddock, there's been a few rumours that the track limit sensor at turn 4, the old hairpin, wasn't working. So people have been encouraging other drivers to exploit that, but maybe I've just alerted the race director to that, so maybe he'll be on that now.
Well, here's another big battle going on. Number 1, Matt Topham, ahead of Nick Jones, ahead of Mark Smith. And they're all queued up behind Mike Price, new to this McLaren, switching from the Mercedes and really liking it. He did have an off yesterday, but really happy in that car, we understand. John Curry goes through in the Mercedes. He has now got the 2 Lotus stacked up behind him, the cars of Ian Duggan and Stephen Lake. Ian Duggan is in 88, 69 is Stephen Lake, the man behind Mahiki Racing. Mahiki being a London nightclub. They flick through the S's in the good old days when the Grand Prix extension was added on. That was a very heavy brake and a real discernible left and right. But now with these flat curves for motorbike racing, you can virtually straight line it.
And the number 84 Lotus is already in 5th, so it goes back to show, you know, that raw pace that they showed in quali over a 2-hour race. They're going to be in contention for a podium, if not the win.
Rather better than Mark Smith. Nick Jones coming under attack from Matt Topham. So it is all happening right now in that 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th battle pack as they swing their way towards McLean's. But Mike Price has certainly got through the traffic better and built a margin. No question about that. In GT4, Mark Warren leads Ravi Ramyud. We've just talked about the BMW being lapped, but it's 2nd in GT4. Up to 3rd in GT4 now is Aidan Neat in number 84 Lotus. And he very soon is going to have Mike Price bearing down on him. Mike Price comes up behind Ed McDermott's Mercedes. He's got past Brandon Templeton. This is another frustrating period for the GT3 drivers because corner by corner they're having to pick their way past other cars, and that interrupts their battle.
So fair play, but he didn't make it stick. The Lotus still maintains. So that's their race. They've now got past that big BMW. Can they eat into the huge lead that Warren has?
However, there is a but on the horizon for that Lotus because Aidan Neat, Josh Miller are silvers. They're chasing a Pro-Am car. They will have to serve an extra 24 seconds
Very good point.
in the pit lane. So you're quite right. Yes, they can now start to hack away, and what they've got to try and do is eat into 9.6 seconds. But whatever they do, you've got to add 24 on at the other end.
Yeah, you're bang on. I completely forgot about that, and that's a game changer. You know, 24 seconds is a huge amount of time on this grid. So Yeah.
But it's a stint 2 safety car. You know, it can all be
Very
negated,
true.
can't it?
Very true.
This is what happened to Matt Topham. So Nick Jones, I think, had a bit of a moment, and then Matt Topham had his own bigger moment behind, almost like he was caught out by what the Porsche was up to. And here's the rejoin.
Yeah, and I think what happened there, he just sort of panicked, got on the brakes whilst having a load of steering wheel angle on, and the rear just come round. But yeah, that rejoin was a bit crazy, to be honest, onto the grass. I mean, fair play to keep it going and get back on track as quick as he did. He reacted well, but yeah, that was very close with the Aston. So with the weight, and the Lotus is off. Is that the 84?
That's
No.
88, isn't it? So that's the car of Ian Duggan. That's in the gravel at Coppice. Prepare for a full course yellow, says race director Peter Daly.
Here we go. This is probably it.
So Morgan Tilbrook at the inside of the Lotus. Oh, you bang. That does rather answer the question. And a spin as well for Giacomo Petrobelli in the Aston Martin.
I think that was just a bit late from the Aston, wasn't it? I know it's a GT4. I know you're 8 seconds a lap quicker, but
yeah, he wasn't alongside.
That was just a pure wipeout, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, now the Lotus has just left the pits and driven into the gravel.
That's a strange one.
Yeah, I'm rather hoping that Ian Duggan was trying to get out of the way and park the car, but has run out of grass, if that makes any sense.
Well, that's not going to be safety car in this lap.
No, it's not. Not with it sitting there. That's the last thing race control needed.
The safety car will not be in this lap. We are retaining the safety car. All cars, safety car procedure.
Okay, I've seen it, but I'm not sure I understand it.
There must have been some electrical issue, or maybe the wheel's not done up properly. I don't know. I mean,
so we are good to go once more then as the cars accelerate out of Goddard's. The green flags will fly at the timing line. We're back racing. 24 McLaren, by the way, is a lap down, so only now can Kevin Say get on his toes to try to get past him on the run down towards Redgate. Dawson has the advantage still. Second, it is Alex Martin. Kevin Say is third. Morgan Tilbrook fourth. Then you've got Simon Orange up into 5th place, and for GT4 we're about to have a change, are we, for the class lead? Not quite. The Jolt Racing McLaren's on the outside. Mark Warren gets up the in. Aidan Neat is right on his tail, and now the Lotus tries to make a move down through the Craner curves. This is absolutely nose to tail for the GT4 lead.
yeah, and this is crucial because, you know, this might be the only opportunity the Lotus gets to get anywhere near the McLaren. So if he can get the move done, he can force the McLaren back into the pack, and then anything can happen. So this is crucial.
Riding on board with Aidan Neat then as they make the climb through Schwann's curve, brake, turn right. This is McLean's closing up under braking. Mark Warren, who is an AM, remember, whereas it's a bronze graded silver driver is Aidan Neat. The Lotus will have a longer pit stop under the regulations if you have 2 silver graded drivers as a partnership, so it's close now, but after the pit stops that gap should in theory stretch as the cars now accelerate again down towards the S's. Behind them, Ravi Ramneed's BMW there is third. 4th in GT4 is Ed McDermott. 5th is Brandon Templeton. So this has completely ignited GT4 as well as GT3 now. Coming into the chicane, contact. Nick Jones and Mike Price, and it's the Porsche that's going to come off worse. Kaboom! Into the tyres.
Big one.
Gets airborne. Big indeed. That's going to put debris on the road. I would fear that's going to have done a rad and put coolant and liquid on the road as well. And it's come to grief right slap bang in the middle of the S's. Thankfully, the car has got going again. Sorry, what's left of the car has got going again, which now starts to fall apart around the circuit. So that's another one that's going to have a long stop because they're going to have a lot of repair work to do on the front of that car.
And a big bit of debris sitting on the racing line into turn 1. I'm literally looking at it right now. So that will be an instant puncture if a car goes over it. So yeah, a lot of cars will have to be careful about that.
All of a sudden, that pit lane becomes so busy. And you've, as I've used the phrase before, got to get on with your neighbour, haven't you? It does help if you know when the team next to you has a car coming in.
I think the thing with pit stops, if you can keep calm, it's easier said than done, keep the heart rate low, things will go well. As soon as you start rushing and trying to save a bit of time by doing the belts quickly and stuff, that's when it goes pear-shaped, and that's when you lose seconds, which you can do in the pit stop.
So there's new tyres going on the Dawson Jewis Mercedes. You saw the yellow flag at the S's, not for a car, but for the tyre stack in the wrong place now after it was jonesed. And we understand that race control are going to try and redress that once the pit stops have all been completed. So that's another blow, in a sense, isn't it, in the system for Charles Dawson and Cian Jewis, because even though Charles had built up the lead again, it looks as though potentially that's going to be negated by another interruption. They're not going to do much about 66, are they? Just get Sven Muller behind the wheel and tell him to make the best of what's left of the front of the car.
Yeah, it looks like it still runs fine. I think, as you say, with all the Barwell Lamborghinis stationary longer than it probably should be, to be honest. But the thing is, Jewis is not going to be gapping Mitchell and Goetzer 9/10 to a second a lap. It's going to be a lot closer in this second stint.
Exactly right. Yeah, Nick Jones' car, Sven Muller at the wheel. I was getting worried about Barwell not having released as that was going down the pit lane, but it was on a different lap. So there, everybody blasts out, and the same order, but you can see how the gaps have come right down. So second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth even, with Sam Neary pretty much together. And although Cian Dewis has the advantage, it's not a big advantage anymore. Matt Topham, by the way, did lead, but has now pitted a lap after everybody else. So the order's slightly distorted. Cian Dewis then thrown into the car. Go on, Cian, go out and build that gap. And he is doing. Straight away, look how he's disappeared up the road from Sandy Mitchell.
Yeah, really, really strong half an out lap there by Dewis. But yeah, Topham going for the overcut. So I think that's not a bad shout. With all the chaos that's going on in the pits, it might be quite easy to run into trouble. So I think if you do an overcut, one extra lap's not going to hurt you too much on lap time. You just get a clear run through the pit stop.
Over the line comes Cian Dewis then, and 5.3 seconds was the gap this time as Sandy Mitchell breaks the beam. 4.7, Sandy Mitchell, fastest lap of the race. He's on a mission, the gap's coming down.
25.5, yeah, really fast, 6/10 quicker than P1. So at that rate, he'll be on him in literally 7 or 8 laps. So this is going to be good.
Those lap records set when the track was resurfaced, so of course that in turn has bedded in. There's Dewis coming out of the old hairpin, Sandy Mitchell behind in second place, and then you've got Maxi Gertz, who is also lapping quicker than Cian Dewis. So in other words, the top three concertinaing. There's confirmation of that fastest lap by Sandy Mitchell, flicked right out of McLean's now, back on the power, climbs the hill up towards Coppice, and doing what he's here to do. Go flat out and see what you can do for your co-driver, Alex Martin. Sandy won't do the entire season. Patrick Kujala will sub for him, so he's here knowing he can't win the championship, but he can at least take race wins, and he can help Alex Martin win the championship as well. Into the S's comes Sandy Mitchell. On this lap, he had done a good first sector, but Cian Dewis is responding with an absolute best in the middle sector. It's game on. Just let me pass, press on. Up towards the timing line comes the Lamborghini then, and Sandy Mitchell breaks the beam, 1.4 seconds back from Cian Dewis, who's got to deal with the traffic. And Sandy Mitchell, so experienced, not only of GT3 racing, of British GT, of multi-class racing, but of course he knows this car inside out as well.
Yeah, and he's gained 2 seconds under FCY. So whether Dewis, had a mistake somewhere, or if the FCY limiters are calibrated so they did. So that's a big time gain overall for the Lamborghini.
And still for Cian Dewis, there's traffic up the road. It only takes one back marker to be encountered in the wrong place.
Like this.
Like this, indeed, going to the outside, and Cian Dewis loses time. He's not gone through, he's gone wide, he's up the curb, and Sandy Mitchell's that little bit closer as they dodge past 84, which is the car of Josh Miller now, taking over from Aidan Neate in GT4 just quickly. That class now gone back the way of number 90. It is Jack Brown in the McLaren leading, but Mitchell is getting nearer and nearer and nearer all the time.
Yeah, when you run that wide, even though it's not really his fault, he's just avoiding traffic, that'll be a track limit. So there's only a certain amount of those you can use up before you get a penalty. So not an ideal couple of corners for Dewis, but the gap's less than a second now. This might be, there might be a move in the next couple of laps.
So Dewis, Mitchell, Gertz, Kirchhofer, Clutton, Neary, top 6, 12 seconds covers them. Incident between Mike Price and Nick Jones under investigation. That was the incident that caused the tyre stack to be moved, and it caused the Porsche to kind of fall apart. Sandy Mitchell's view then, heading down towards the S's. Cian Dewis ahead. Sandy Mitchell, if he wasn't spurred on before, will be even more so now by seeing the lead car ahead. Daly, the race director, saying a 5-second penalty to car 71, Ravi Rangi, Charlie Robertson's BMW. Contact with the Lotus under the safety car. That will be added on at the end of the race. Bit more debris lying in the road as straight over it goes Sandy Mitchell. So a 5-second penalty to be applied post-race to number 71. Wherever it finishes, add 5 seconds, you'll get its correct position in the results. Lead gap, 0.570 of a second as they drop down the hill. Cian Dewis having to be brave through the traffic, and again Sandy Mitchell finds a car where he doesn't want it. This time Seb Morris's Mercedes.
Well timed though, and he didn't lose too much. I think, it's a long time to sustain that level of pressure, less than half a second off for over half an hour left. It will be some job if Dewis keeps him behind.
There's the BMW in question. It is in 16th place overall. Charlie Robertson getting out of the GT3 traffic's way. It's actually second on the road now in GT4, but under the safety car earlier, this is what happened. Ravi Ramyid is at the wheel.
Ooh. That was a bit clumsy, yeah. Just
odd.
He had a lot of warning. I mean, the Lotus slowed down quite a long time in front of him, and maybe he was looking at his dash or looking at his seat belts or something and just missed that. But not a lot of damage sustained, to be honest. But we do remember Joe mentioned that in the interview, didn't he?
Yeah.
Car 71 got rear-ended in the safety car.
Matching that pace.
It's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no two ways about it. That is exactly what you want to see from an aspiring pro, a silver-graded driver. That's good.
And here weaving one side and then the other. Yeah, that is Will Burns. Left, right, left, right. Chris Solkelt not weaving in defence, but keeping the car in the middle of the road, and there's no real opportunity for the Porsche to go by.
Yeah, that was. I'm pretty sure you'll have one move under when you're making an overtake or defending. So, but yeah, hard racing, no damage, and he's putting the pressure on the BMW.
And they're about to have Callum McLeod bear down on them in the green McLaren, the car that he's taken over from Mike Price. So Callum, former Formula Ford rival of Nick Tandy, if you go back a long, long time to when Callum was winning Formula Ford titles, goes past the Porsche. Gets a bit stuck behind the BMW, though. Chris Solkelt trying to get out of his way, but when it suits him, not at the earliest opportunity. Now there's a section of the racetrack that does present him to let the McLaren go, and he does so.
Yeah, that was close, but unfortunate really for the McLaren. I think he chose the wrong way initially and sort of got stuck, but that can be the way with traffic sometimes.
So again, you see the pace of a GT3 car. As soon as Callum McLeod is clear, then he starts to get away. Solkelt keeping Burns at bay. These two still squabbling over 20th place overall. Tom Wood taken over from Andrew Howard. Tom was another Ginetta Junior graduate many years ago, championed by Donington Park Circuit and by Christopher Tate, then the managing director of Donington. And Tom has been away racing in Europe. He came back into British racing in the GT final round at Brands last year, impressed Andrew Howard, and so a deal done. He's spent some time in German GT4 and racing in the VLN, so he's done a lot of miles and now putting that to good use in British GT racing. So good to see Tom Wood going well. Down towards the S's they go, and this car is 8th overall, leading its class. And to the Melbourne hairpin it goes. Now, I was getting worried earlier on about the state of the Nick Jones-Sven Muller Porsche. What's left of it has been swept, I think, into the garage. So is this man, Jack Brown. He leads GT4, carrying on where he left off last year, and the gap is 7 seconds to Charlie Robertson, and in real terms it's 7+5 because of the penalty that will go to the BM at the end of the race. So Jack Brown now has a easier ride perhaps than expected in GT4. He's just got to tick off the laps. It's interesting as well, isn't it, that with the right drivers, a Pro-Am entry is a better bet for success than Silver, because you have a shorter pit stop, and if you've got the pace to negate the speed of the Silvers, then your quid's in.
I think the Silver penalty for the pit stop is huge. Like, you know, that's a massive amount of time in a short space of time, if you see what I mean. So, yeah, I think that's the key thing with choosing the driver selection is, you know, do you want to suffer that massive penalty? Is Silver worth that much track time? Yeah, here we go.
Here they come, and Cian Jewis has to lift because he doesn't want to get past it there. Back onto the power. Yeah, Sandy Mitchell commits to the outside. He's almost there, but that marker cleared. Clear road for a little while. Sandy Mitchell is close, not thinking about making a move there, or is he? Tries to tighten the line coming off the corner. 3 3/4 minutes to go, that's all. Cian Jewis, nervous in the lead, but standing his ground. A little bit more curb, bitten by the Lamborghini, but the Mercedes, look, gets a good drive off the corner.
Yeah, that's key. Another back marker coming up, which may get them involved at the hairpin. So, yeah, there's a lot of traffic to come in the final stage of this race, which could be the difference.
Absolutely so. And, of course, the flag goes out the first time the leader crosses the line. Once 2 hours are up, so, you know, if they squeeze through with seconds to spare, it's another full lap. Mitchell looks to the inside line. Oh, so close down to the Melbourne hairpin. He was good here a lap ago. The McLaren gets out of the way then as they make that run up now towards Goddard's. It's Jack Brown, the GT4 leader. They're going to get 2 more laps out of this, I will offer you, as they come off Goddard's now. Absolutely nose to tail. Last time that margin was 0.639 of a second. This time it's 0.499 of a second. But still, Cian Jewis stands his ground in the lead of the race.
I don't think they're going to catch any GT4s anymore. I think that's it. Maybe car 41. But with 2 laps to go, I think this might be it. So that might have saved Jewis's race.
OK. So Sandy Mitchell with, we reckon, 1 more lap to go at the end of this. Let's see. Bounces it wide over the curb. He is absolutely flat out. There is nothing more he can wring out of that car. You can almost hear the Lamborghini whimpering now. It's been given such a tough ride over the course of this stint. and yet that Mercedes continues to lead. It was half a second between them at the start of the lap, and I would suggest the gap has gone up a little bit, although the Lamborghini good on the brakes, but it's in a straight line where that Mercedes just seems to build the gap again.
There's one bit of data I'd love to see right now, and it's the heart rates of both drivers, and I'd just love to see over the stint how that's progressively gone up and up and up and up and up.
When you say both drivers, do you mean these two or the co-drivers watching?
Everyone.
I mean, Charles Dawson doesn't know where to look. Sandy Mitchell flinging the car again through the S's, late on the brakes down to the Melbourne hairpin. He's close by about a length, but not close enough to think about a move. And again, quicker onto the power, earlier onto the power. It's Cian Jewis. Alex Martin understands totally how much effort Sandy Mitchell has put into this, and Charles Dawson almost saying his prayers there. Doesn't want to look at the television, doesn't want to look at the data, doesn't know where to look, and through they come with 2 more to go. Yes, they've just squeezed through with 2 more laps to go, just over a lap time left in it, so they're going to get 2 more out of the race as their 78 rounds Redgate. Sandy Mitchell, he wants more laps, doesn't he, because it's more opportunity.
Yeah, and they're going to catch, now there's 2 more laps. It was very close between them, either doing 2 or 1.
Yeah.
They're going to catch 2 more GT4s, which, as I say, that could be the differentiator here. Just depends where they get them. I think it's going to be towards the end of this lap, either the hairpin or the last corner.
Blimey. Okay, just what you don't want, slow parts of the circuit.
Exactly,
right.
yeah.
Out of McLean's, they turn. Sector 1, quicker was Jewis. How much was he quicker by? 0.02 of a second.
Exactly that. It's close. It's close. I think on raw pace, Sandy's using every inch of the track and even more of it than using the gravel on the exit of Coppice there. But into the chicane then. Sandy trying to get a good run. He's probably hoping, right, I hope there's traffic on the horizon, which there is. As you can see here, the McLaren going down into the hairpin.
Here they come onto the brakes, but they've not caught it before the corner, so they ought to be able to zap past in a straight line. Onto the power now, climb out of the Melbourne hairpin.
This will hold them up though.
Yeah, flash of the lights. Cian Jewis goes to the inside. Sandy Mitchell absolutely has to dive bomb up the inside. Can't hesitate. Charles Dawson, big intake of breath. Through they come, and they're just going to squeeze through now with about a second on the clock as they go through 1 more lap. But this is it. This is the last lap as they round Redgate with the margin being just under 0.6 of a second. 1 to go.
1 to go and 1 GT4 to go as well. And that's it. I think that is the race right there. You know, fortunately, the traffic dropped at the right point. It's actually hindered Sandy more than Jewis, and that might be it.
So it's enough of a gap going to Starkey's Bridge, and Barwell know that Sandy's given it his best shot. Alex says, yeah, well done. But Cian Jewis and Charles Dawson have starred all weekend. It would be cruel in a way if they were not to be the winners of this race, because it has been just an outstanding performance by 2 drivers new to the car, new to the team, new to GT3. They've had to deal with full course yellows and safety cars, and with the best in the business, whether it's been pros or AMs. And onto the Grand Prix loop for the last time. Cian Jewis leads the way. Sandy Mitchell is doing the chasing, and he's still not given up, but there are 2 corners to go for Cian Jewis, who sets up the 2Cs Motorsport Mercedes. Make that 1 corner to go as he exits the Melbourne hairpin. It is job done. British GT honours then in our first round of the championship. Great start of the season, a proper endurance race as well. So the class winners, Pro-Am in GT3, Cian Jewis, Charles Dawson, Silver Am, Andrew Howard and Tom Wood. GT4 Pro-Am, Jack Brown and Mark Warren. The Silvers, they were conquered by Aidan Neat and by Josh Miller. The Endurance Cup Pro-Am won by Ed McDermott with Seb Morris, bravo to them. And the Silvers in the Endurance Cup, Jamie Autumn and Will Burns. Charles Dawson and Cian Jewis atop the result sheets after 77 drama-filled laps of Donington. Alex Martin, Sandy Mitchell second from Kevin Say and Maxi Gertz. Marvin Kirchhofer fourth with Morgan Tilbrook. The Nearys were fifth, Richard and Sam. Matt Topham and Hugo Cook sixth. So they were able to battle up despite that earlier spin. 7th, Simon Orange and Marcus Clutton. 8th was Tom Wood and Andrew Howard to win in the Silver Am contest. 9th, Martin Plowman and Mark Smith. And 10th, Mike Price and Callum McLeod. GT4 then, taken by Mark Warren and Jack Brown from Ravi Ramyud and Charlie Robertson. Even with the penalty, they took second, clear of Seb Morris and Ed McDermott. Phil Keane with John Curry came next. And then Aidan Neat, Josh Miller, class winners, 5th in GT4. And you can see that there were a number of teams who had their own problems not getting to the finish. But they'll bounce back, because at the end of the month, we have an extra hour. Silverstone will be the next stop for British GT, the Blue Ribbon race, the Silverstone 500, the 3-hour race around the full Grand Prix circuit with an even bigger entry promise for that. And